That's the sound of freedom, huh? Because that's what we're after, isn't it? Freedom. So, we're going to take things to a whole nother level. Look at that. I didn't even have to do this, and you already own it. And I think that's amazing. And it only took 2 days. So how many habits can we create if we work on stuff? Here's what I'd like you to do. I want you to turn to somebody next to you, and I want you to tell them, I believe in you. Let's do it quick. I believe in you. And then the other person turn back to them and say, I believe in you too. How did that feel? It feels pretty good, doesn't it? Maybe the person you just told hasn't heard that in 20 years. So can we make an agreement to say you will tell everybody on your team you believe in them? Okay, good. Now the other thing that we can do is we can compliment people behind their back. Because usually when we're talking behind somebody's back, what are we talking about? I said, did you hear what she did? I can't believe she posted that. No. What we need to do is we need to be different. We need to have a different culture. Ib really covered it so well. Can we give Ib a hand, right, on the culture talk? That was amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, can you make a commitment to me and to the company and to yourself and to your team that in this next week, you're going to actually compliment 3 people behind their back? Meaning that you're talking about somebody with somebody else and you're saying something very complimentary about them when they're not even there. And they may never hear about it, and if they do, that's great, and if they don't, that's great too, isn't it? And if you practice that, you'll see how amazing you start to feel inside. And we create that culture. When people walk into the room here, they walk into your meetings, they feel it. And they go, this is different. This isn't what I'm used to out in the world. This is unusual. So we're ready to take things to a whole nother level. And so I want to share with you today how we position Zeno within this entrepreneur age. Would you agree that now is probably the #1 time to be an entrepreneur in the history of the world? Yeah, because we have this thing called the little phone, and you can build a whole business just using your phone. I mean, you can be an Uber driver with a phone. You need a car. Right? You can have an Airbnb with a phone if you have a house or an apartment. But right now, there's a whole generation that doesn't even remember what life was like before the cell phone. Think about that. A whole generation doesn't even know what life was like before the cell phone. Now I'm going to go back to the whole nother level because I was listening to Dr. Paul Clayton. It was so nice to see him backstage. I saw him yesterday. He just flew in. And then this morning he had just this big smile. You could see in his eye that he's ready to go to a whole nother level. I could feel it from him, and I got really excited about that because when your chief science officer gets excited about taking things to a whole nother level, you know that we're going to iterate not just on the marketing, we got that covered, but he's going to be iterating on the product design to make it better and better and better. And as I was watching Dr. Paul Clayton, I realized he's not out here going whole nother level. He's saying, let's go to war! That's what he said. I was talking backstage with a guy, Roger, that we're building a friendship back there, and he said, wow, you know, we're like huggers in here. I'm thinking, yeah, we're huggers in here that are ready to go to war. And how interesting is that? So now we can do whole nother level and let's go to war. Interesting, interesting. So, the biggest growth sector, I believe, over the next 10 years is going to be people that have an income of some sort from a job, and then they're going to have what's called a side hustle. How many of you are familiar with the term side hustle? Right? It's something that you do on the side to supplement the income that you have. And when I was growing up in college and high school, you would have a side hustle like delivering pizza. Or you would have a side hustle like doing newspaper delivery, right? You would have a side hustle that if your mom called you, you wouldn't admit you had that side hustle. You were not proud of that side hustle. You kind of kept it a secret. But today, when you talk to people and they say, Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm driving Uber. They're like totally proud of it, right? I'm renting out an Airbnb. I'm doing something on Etsy. They're like, having a side hustle is cool. Well, we kind of invented the side hustle as direct sellers. So now all of a sudden we've gone from, well, I don't know if we want to talk about that, to having a side hustle is cool. There's nothing to be embarrassed about having a side hustle. And right now, millions of people are being trained to be entrepreneurs because there's this thing called the gig economy. How many of you are familiar with the gig economy? The side economy, right? It is the Ubers. And give you a couple of stats on this, is that Airbnb, how many of you are familiar with Airbnb? It's when you rent out your apartment or your house, and a stranger can come in and party, shoot videos or whatever they want to do. But the internet has made it so that a guy named Brian Chesky, he's the founder of Airbnb, he basically made it so that you could just do it with a click of a couple of buttons on your phone. And Airbnb paid out $10 billion in commissions in 2017, with a B, to women. So it gives you an idea of how many people are saying, hey, I need to get that extra income. I need to get that side income. And I was at an event where Brian Chesky was speaking, and he said, my goal is to have 100 million people earn an extra check. That's a vision, isn't it? Now, how many of you are familiar with Uber or Lyft, right? Some of you may be like, Uber's evil, we use Lyft only. Either one. But Uber in 2018 actually had more what's called 1099s, which means that somebody earned $500 or more in the US, so they had to report taxes. They had more 1099s than the entire direct selling profession combined almost. Mm-hmm. You go, that's interesting. But all those Uber drivers are getting a taste of freedom, aren't they? They're getting a taste of what it's like to work on their own schedule. And I want to cover today why the gig economy is such a huge benefit to us. Why we're positioned perfectly inside that gig economy. There's a company called Roblox. How many of you, those of you with kids, you might know this. It's a video game company. And Roblox lets you go into the game and create a sword or a helmet or whatever it might be inside the game. And then if other gamers use it, they pay you a commission based on them using your stuff. And last year they paid out $70 million to kids in commissions. The top kid made $2 million. Whoa! Are you kidding me? Right? Two others made $1 million, and then it dipped off pretty quickly to the $10,000 and so forth. But still, very interesting. Those kids are getting a taste of getting an extra commission check. There's Shopify, there's Amazon resellers, there's Etsy. Here's what's so really cool, is that we might be sitting here thinking, wow, you know, they're coming into our space. And yes, they did come into our space when it comes to the extra paycheck, right? They've made it easier for other ways to create an extra paycheck. But they've also expanded the pie, right? It wasn't a zero-sum game, it's a positive-sum game. They just made more entrepreneurs out of people that weren't entrepreneurs. Does that make sense? Yeah. And by expanding the pie, it actually is expanding the pie for us. When we started in direct selling, then we told people, would you like to have an extra paycheck? Would you like to earn a business side income? They didn't have a lot of choices. They could either start a second or third business job, right? So they could have a second or third job. They could get a franchise, but that costs $100,000. Or they start a direct selling business. Like there wasn't other options there for them. So now the extra paycheck space is getting a little crowded. Here's one thing that's awesome, is that we invented the side hustle, gig economy. So we as direct sellers can be very proud of that. Like, we're the ones that started this. But now we just got a little bit of competition in the space. But there's a second order effect of all this competition, of all this tech stuff that's happening. There's a company called Open Door in the United States, very innovative real estate business, where you can put in the address of your house, submit it, answer a few questions that they prompt you on. You hit submit, the next day somebody calls you from Open Door and offers you $300,000 for your house, or whatever it's worth. And if you say yes, 48 hours later, you get the check. And they cut the commissions from what's typically 6% down to 1%. So the margins are dropping. What is that going to do to real estate agents in the US over time? When the margins get thin, they're going to have to go do something else. Make sense? In the financial tech sector, for brokers, for people that sell stocks, there's a lot of financial tech companies like Robinhood and Wealthfront. They've taken the commissions from 4 to 2 to 1 to 0.25%. And the brokers, they can't survive on 0.25%, so they're going to be looking for additional ways of creating revenue. That's good for us. Uber drivers are getting paid half of what they earned 4 years ago. So while we may look at Uber as like, wow, that's amazing, understand they have their problems too. And those Uber drivers are going to say, wow, I really like the taste of freedom, I really like making an extra paycheck, but I don't really like my income dropping. Boom, enter us, right? Enter us, enter us. We also invented the direct-to-consumer, meaning that somebody could buy a product and then the company would ship it to them, right? That's called D2C. Now you see other D2C companies out there, but we invented that. We share start your business with a couple of clicks. Can you start your Zinzino business with a couple of clicks on the website? Yes. Can you start and drive an Uber car with a couple of clicks? Yes. In most places you can. In some places you have to make sure that you have insurance and so forth. We also share the low cost of entry, meaning that it doesn't cost a lot to be an Uber driver, and it also doesn't cost a lot to start to be in the Zinzino business, correct? I mean, you can actually probably, you can start with the kit and then get 25 customers and you get your kit back. It's the price a year from now. What else do we share? Well, we share that the company does most of the work. When you join Uber, the company does all the tracking and commissions and finding the customers and putting you together and rating. And of course, if you join Zinzino, they do all the shipping. They've got Dr. Paul creating the products. They've got some cool people doing marketing. All of that stuff that you would normally have to do if you started a startup, you don't have to do. Your job is to go get customers, go get partners, develop leaders, coach them, mentor them, like Hilda was talking about. But all that other stuff, whew, let me tell you, I've worked with startups. It's hard. This is easy. Like, for real, right? Mom was like, yeah, this is easy compared to starting a company. And, me going, it's hard. So we also share the flexible schedule space, meaning that with Zinzino, you can build it in your time. So you can build it in between your job, in between taking the kids to school. And an Uber driver does the same. They go to work, and then they pick up a few fares on the way home. And that feeling of flexibility, people are getting addicted to it. People love to be in charge of their own schedule. So we share that, and it's a huge deal. I can tell you through Silicon Valley, that is one of the biggest focuses, is even letting people work from home if they work for a company, to give them that flexible schedule, because people are demanding a flexible schedule. We share word of mouth to a certain degree. Why I say we share word of mouth is because we are amazing at word of mouth. There's nobody better than direct sellers at word of mouth. But online there is reviews, right? Where you go to Amazon and you see reviews. So that's kind of like word of mouth as well. But I think that we are actually a whole lot better. We have it at a whole nother level, right? So that's the word of mouth. We share the extra paycheck space, which means that you're going to earn a side hustle extra paycheck. I covered that. We share upfront income, meaning you do the work, you get paid. Create a customer, you get paid, right? Pick up an Uber passenger, you get paid. So we share it, but it's really neat that we have it, that you can create a check and get paid this month right away. We also share a results-based income. And this is where the entrepreneurship is being created. Is that the Uber driver knows that if they don't go pick up some people and drop them off where they want to, they're not going to get paid. You can't just show up for work and say, I showed up, I didn't do any work, but you still told me you would pay me. And in direct selling, it's the same thing. Don't create the volume, don't get paid. Create a lot of volume, get paid a lot. Right? Results-based economy. That's also coming. And we're perfectly positioned inside that. Here's what's exciting about direct selling. This is the latest new figure from 2018. 2018 was a breakout year for direct selling. Right? In 2018, the size of direct selling grew to 118 million distributors and $192 billion. That's over $200 million in commission paid out a day. So when people go, oh, is that direct selling? Yes, it's direct selling. Right? We're almost a $200 billion profession. It's something to be proud of. Direct selling has generated $1.5 trillion in sales since 2009. So in the last 10 years, it's over 1.5 trillion in sales. I don't even know what trillion looks like. It's a cool sounding word. It's really big, right? And that means over $600 billion has been paid to distributors in commissions. That's a lot more than Airbnb. And Airbnb sounded pretty awesome, didn't it? Yeah. So direct selling is perfectly geared for growth right now. Over the next years, if we just stay on the path that we're on, it's going to be over $1 trillion in sales in the next 5 years. And based on Orion and Hilda's vision and Doug's vision and the company's vision and the top leaders and the directors and the diamonds, based on the vision that we heard this week, I think the Zinzino is going to grab quite a bit of that 1 trillion. Right? So if there's going to be quite a bit of that 1 trillion, also in the next 10 years, $400 billion in commissions. $1 billion in commissions is going to be paid to partners and distributors. That's exciting. Right? That's something we can be proud of. We can say direct selling is going to do this. Do you want some of those commissions? But let's take a look at how direct selling maybe is different than the Uber guy. You want to look at it? Because I'm going to give you a list. And at the end of the list, I think you're going to be pretty freaking fired up. Right? So I did the thinking for you. Number one, we own long-term income. What I mean by that is, yes, of course you can drive an Uber car long-term. But here you can create a customer, and as long as you take care of the customer, you get paid every time they order. That's a different kind of long-term, isn't it? If an Uber driver picks up a customer and drops them off, do they keep getting paid on that customer when they drive with another Uber? No, they don't. We own leverage income. Leverage income is another word for residual income. How many of you are here because of residual income, right? Residual income means this. You can write this definition down. I've used it for 15 years. It means you do the work right one time. Write it down. You do the work right one time. And then you get paid again, and again, and again, and again, and again for a long time. Do the work right one time. Write a hit album like the Beatles. Get paid for a long time. Right? Write a great book like Harry Potter with J.K. Rowling and get paid for a long time. Build a Zinzino organization with customers and partners who get customers and get paid for a long time. That's the really exciting income. Upfront income is nice, but residual income means that you never have to start over. The Uber driver has to start over every month. If you start with 5 customers at the end of this month, next month you're starting with 5 customers already. You don't have to start at 0. What is it like to not have to start over? When you start to taste that, here's what happens. If you understand residual income, when you taste even a 10 euro check, it came in a month and you said, I didn't work that hard that month. And some of you top distributors, you're probably thinking, gosh, you know, this month they sent me 25,000 euros and I know I didn't work that hard this month. Right? If you understand residual income, you would walk through a brick wall to get it. And those of you that have tasted it, you know exactly what I mean. You can never go back. Ever. And that's available here. That's not available in Silicon Valley. That's not available in the gig economy. And we own scalable income, meaning that you can scale your income from $1,000 a month to $2,000 a month to $10,000 a month to $50,000 a month, right? You can scale it. An Uber driver can only drive so many hours. There is no possibility of scaling the income. That's a fancy word, but that's the actual word that we should be using. We own community. Oh my goodness, right? I mean, did you feel that this week? Right, at this event, I mean, when can you go to an Uber conference? Right? And if you did, you think they would have this feeling? No, do you think they would have what Ian was talking about? No way! People are more connected than ever on their phones, but they're lonelier than ever. When they feel this, it's like, woo! All the way up, baby! Right? I'm in. This is cool. I've been looking for this. I'm missing this. I want this. I love hugs, right? I love people complimenting me behind my back. This is awesome. They don't have that. That's right. Mentorship. I mean, it's amazing. Hilda just covered mentorship, right? Coaching. Where can you go where all of a sudden you have a mentor-apprentice model? Right? You join, you're the apprentice, you have a mentor, and does somebody charge you for mentoring them in Zinzino? No, it comes with the deal, because their success is your success, and your success is their success. That doesn't happen. Oh, I'm going to be an Uber driver. Fantastic. I hope the other Uber driver is going to sit here with me for the first few rides. No, talk to an Uber driver and ask him, what were the first 3-4 rides like for you? Oh, God. Nobody was there with them. We're here to go with the new partner and say, let's go help get a customer. Let's go prick somebody's finger together. Right? Let's mentor you. Huge. We own personal growth. Okay, I'm not even going to spend a lot of time on that. But if you're going to walk out of this event without having at least one new book, you don't get it. Right? Personal growth is the foundation of entrepreneurship. We own recognition. I mean, how many of you were emotional today when you saw the recognition? Right? It's one of my favorite things. I cry at weddings. I cry when a team that's supposed to lose wins in soccer, and I cry at recognition. Right? That's what makes me emotional, because it's all about achievement. Those three things are achievement. So an Uber driver doesn't get recognition. And Napoleon Bonaparte, different Napoleon, said people will live and then die for a ribbon. We own events. I'm not even going to have to say anything. This event was freaking unbelievable. Did the company take it to a whole nother level? Yeah, this is absolutely amazing. We own succeeding by helping others. I mean, how cool is that? When we help somebody else, we succeed ourselves. That doesn't exist in the gig economy. We own equal pay. What does that mean? Direct selling is one of the few places where women earn dollar for dollar what men earn. Ladies, let me hear you. Right? That's a big deal. And even though there's equality around the world, there's still a gap. And it's news. And we need to be talking about that, because people are already talking about it. You can say, oh, by the way, over here, if a man creates 10,000 points in volume and a woman creates 10,000 points in volume, we get paid the same. There are no politics. We own equal opportunity. Direct selling offers everyone an equal opportunity, regardless of age, sex, race, religion, or level of education. When you joined Zinzino, did they ask you, oh, what sex are you? Oh, what race are you? What religion are you? Were you successful in the past? Do you have a degree in college? No. You join, and we go. That's awesome. We own this subscription model in the sense of Netflix has a subscription model where we pay for Netflix every month. But here the subscription model is shared with the partners. Here's the one place where all the subscriptions that would happen in Netflix, you can get a piece of that. And I can tell you, millennials love subscription. They want everything on subscription. So subscription used to be one of those, oh, can we get them on Autoship? No. They love subscription. They are asking for subscription. We own that. We own premium products. Has anybody in this room even slightly doubt that Zinzino has the best products that are out there that you could possibly share with somebody? The best, right? I mean, there's no question. The Ascent, the Oils, the Extend, the Viva. These are world-class premium products. We own that. We own your brand. And this is a subtle thing. But if you become an Uber driver, you're kind of labeled an Uber driver. Right? But here in Zinzino, you become a Zinzino partner, you can still be you. You can be you, whoever you are. And it's really by being you that you can be great. And so direct selling allows, and Zinzino allows you to still be you while going to build a business. And I don't think we talk about that enough, because people love to be individualized. They love to be their voice. And most of those other things, they don't allow you to do that. You got to be inside their confinement. We own being an entrepreneur factory. There's nobody that I know that creates entrepreneurs better with all these things than direct selling. And look around this room. This is an entrepreneur factory. And entrepreneurs change the world. Direct selling is one of the simplest paths to entrepreneurship. I don't know of a way that's easier than joining Zinzino, joining direct selling, to start the path of entrepreneurship. And we know the path of entrepreneurship is the path to wealth, because you're starting to build an asset. So direct selling is no longer on trial. Do you get that? It's a proven, viable profession, a profession that's helping millions of people get ahead financially and moving many of them closer to their dreams. Is that something you can be proud of? Yes. Here's the part that I'm actually the most proud of. We own the give back. I mean, when you saw those kids and the schools, how did you feel? There's not a person that's not emotional about that. I mean, we're backstage bawling. We're holding that book, looking at these kids, and it's like, wow, this matters. We are amazing at give back. I don't know what Uber has as a give back, but I know what we have as a give back. And I know that I feel very special if I'm part of that. We also own significance. Significance is finding that girl at Dairy Queen who's a single mom, who's crying herself to sleep at night because she doesn't know how to take care of her child to put her in a better situation or a better school. And an army, since we're going to war, of partners like this. You're the one person that's probably going to care enough to slow down, have a conversation with her, exchange phone numbers, get her on a path of a book, and start to be a mentor for her. And she has a shot of getting ahead because she's just scared. She's confused, and her manager isn't going to be the one that's going to do it, because if he trains her, she's going to become the manager and he's out of a job. And when you help one person, and I know many of you have already done that, when you help one person move from where they were to where they wanted to be, that's the most addictive thing in the world. And if you don't get addicted by that, I think you're in the wrong business. I mean that by absolute core. And when you taste that, it's like heroin in the good way. You're just going to be hooked. It's awesome. So now I want you to just listen as I go through what I just shared. All of this together, the side hustle, the direct-to-consumer, word of mouth, start your own business with a couple of clicks, low cost of entry, flexible schedule, extra paycheck, upfront income, results-based income, long-term income, leveraged residual income, scalable income, a company that does most of the work, a community that's second to none, mentorship that's built into the system, it's baked into it, personal development baked into the system, recognition second to none, events that are beyond amazing, an entrepreneur factory, success by helping others, equal pay, equal opportunity, a subscription model that's becoming so popular except that you get to participate in it. It's not like Netflix where only they get to participate. Premium products, own your brand, give back, and significance. Are you flipping kidding me? Are you telling me you're going to be like, well, is it direct selling? I don't know. No. Direct selling is the gold standard of the gig economy. And Zinzino is the gold standard of the direct selling economy. Right? And you should get fired up about that. So sometimes the best check is a reality check. So I wanted to come in here and just give you the reality check that you have something incredible in your hands. And you don't want to keep it a secret. Because you're going to go from being a credit card heir where you owe money on a credit card to a cashier where you have some cash. Then a 10 heir, I've got $10 in my bank account. 100 heir, I've got $100 in my bank account. 1,000 heir, I've got $1,000 in my bank account. 10,000 heir, 100,000 heir, I've got 100,000 in my bank account. Millionaire, decamillionaire, that's 10 million. That's a cool goal, decamillionaire, right? So your future self is somebody that's you in the future. They're screaming at you right now. Wake the heck up. Wake up to what you have, because I want me, the future self, to have a really good life. I want me, the future self, to have impacted thousands of people with their health and their wealth. I want me, the future self, to look back and say, I made a difference. That's what your future self wants. And it wants you to wake up. So, let's get to work. Can we agree to get to work? Yeah. Because I'm pumped up. I'm pumped up to make things easier and better, and I know you guys are pumped up as well. We're going to get loud, and we're going to take things to a what? Whole nother level. Let's take Europe to a whole nother level. DJ, they're not standing up. You know, I'm giving my all here. Like, this is it. I got nothing left, and I tell them to give it to a whole nother level, and they're sitting. We're going to take your business to a whole nother level. We're going to take your income to a whole nother level. We're going to take the kids at the school for significance to a whole